Let's do some historical studies. Praise God. Um, in 1960, Nigeria got our independence, and as a result of this, uh, Tafawa Balewa became the prime minister, while Queen Elizabeth was the head of state. Now, who is a prime minister? A prime minister is the head of government. Are you there? So the head of state was Queen Elizabeth. That was in 1960. Because before 1960, our leaders were purely the British. They were, those that came, the white were the one ruling. They were the one ruling us majorly. But when we got independence, power began to major uh, position of leadership began to fall into the hands of the citizens of the nation to show that now they have gotten independence. So in 1960, when Nigeria got our independence, Tafawa Balewa became the prime minister of the nation and Queen Elizabeth became the head of state. So Tafawa Balewa, who was the prime minister, by implication, he was the head of government. So in 1960, between 1960 to 1963, Tafawa Balewa was the prime minister, are you there? That is the head of government, and Queen Elizabeth was the head of state. Now, the head of government, the function of the head of government is official. So Tafawa Balewa handled um, the official aspect, while Queen Elizabeth, being the head of state, was in charge of the ceremonial aspect. So the duty of the head of government is official. The duty of the head of state is ceremonial. So that's why you see that in 1960, you see Queen Elizabeth and Tafawa Balewa. So the head of state, are you there, whose function is ceremonial, is the one that will, represent the nation in events and some other things. Are we together? So that continued from 1960 to, for about 3 years. Now, in 1963, are we together? In 1963, Nigeria now became a republic. Are you there? Nigeria became a republic. Now, in 1963, that was 3 years after independence. Now, when Nigeria became a republic, Queen Elizabeth now ceases to be the head of state. Why? Because when a nation becomes a republic, by implication, it means that the head of state and the head of government must come from that nation. In 1960, when we received when we got our independence, what that did for us is just to ensure that, okay, somebody from the nation is handling one of the major political powers. But now that Nigeria now became a republic in 1963, by implication, it means that the head of state and the head of government must now be from the nation. Are you there? So due to this new development in 1963, Tafawa Balewa, who was the um, former head of government, continued, but Queen Elizabeth stepped down as the head of state. So when Queen Elizabeth stepped down, are you there? Nnamdi Azikiwe now replaced Queen Elizabeth. So in 1963, when Nigeria became a republic, Tafawa Balewa remained the head of government, while Nnamdi Azikiwe now came in as the head of state. Are we together? So just to validate that new development, to show that now Nigeria has become a republic. Are we together? But officially, the head of state is the one that is usually seen as the president. That's why in history, when you ask who is the first civilian president of Nigeria, are you there? They are going to say, oh, Nnamdi Azikiwe. Why? Because the head of state is usually the one that is seen as the president. Are we together? So between 1963, when Nigeria became a republic, to 1966, both of them were still ruling. Are you there? And that kind of political system is called a parliamentary. Are you there? It's called parliamentary. That system of government is parliamentary. You know, the kind of system where you can have two people, head of state, head of government. That one is parliamentary. Are you there? So that means Nigeria practiced parliamentary system of government from 1960 to 1966. Are you getting what I'm saying? So basically now, from that arrangement, we know Tafawa Balewa was there for about 6 years. And Nnamdi Azikiwe was there for 3 years because Tafawa Balewa ruled with Queen Elizabeth. And when Nigeria became a republic, he also did another 3 years with Nnamdi Azikiwe. But something happened in 1966. But you see, in 1966, that was 3 years after Nigeria became a republic. In 1966, Major Chukwuma Oziego launched an attack to take over government. Are you there? That, he was a military personnel. So he launched an attack to take over government. Are you there? But the attack was not successful. So he did not end up becoming, the head of anything. Are you there? But the reason for launching the attack is so that he can take over the government. But the attack was not successful. Are you there? But you see, although the attack was not successful, Tafawa Balewa died in the process. Are you there? Tafawa Balewa died in the process of the whole thing. Are you getting what I'm saying? But yet, Chukwuma the attack was not purely successful. Are you there? So he could not end up becoming the leader, but the process of all the attack and the thing affected Tafawa Balewa. He died in the process. Are we together? In the same 1966, due to that attack, there was a little commotion. So in that same 1966, Agoyin Ironsi I believe he must have used that opportunity. He launched another attack again to the government. The one Chukwuma did must have weakened the government to some level. So it will now be easy for Agoyin Ironsi to, the effort Agoyin Ironsi will put in to actually take over the government will not be as much as when he's starting from the scratch. So that same year, Agoyin Ironsi launched an attack on the government. Are we together? And this attack was successful. So because his attack was successful, Agoyin Ironsi now became the first military, the first military head of state. Are we together? So that parliamentary system of government ended because Agoyin Ironsi now became the first military head of state. He was the first military person to start ruling Nigeria. Are we together? So Agoyin Ironsi became the head of state. He became the leader because his attack was successful. So people like Nnamdi Azikiwe, everybody pushed aside. He became the only major leader of the nation in 1966 because his own attack, the attack he launched on the government was successful. So in that same 1966, the first republic ended. Are we together? So this is how they calculate a republic. Now, the republic is calculated based on the civilian government. Are you there? How long the civilian government ruled before military interruption. Are you there? So that means, the first republic was between 1963 to 1966 because in 1966 military interrupted. Agoyin Ironsi came in. So 1963 to 1966 now is the first republic. Are you there? So that's how they calculate it. For example, if a civilian government rules from 2000 to 2003 and the 2003 military personnel came in, so that means the first republic has ended. If the military personnel ruled from 2023 to 2005 and in 2005 another civilian government comes in, so that will now be second republic. Are you getting what I'm saying? But if a civilian government now continues and then no military person comes in, so that means the nation is still in second republic. So Nigeria currently now, we are in the fourth republic because since 1999, the civilian has been ruling and military has never came up. So that means Nigeria is in fourth republic. But I'm going to explain that to you. I hope you understand now. So 1963 to 1966, the first republic ended when Aguiyi-Ironsi came in through the attack he launched on the government. Are we together? So that means the first republic was for about 3 years. The first republic lasted for about 3 years. Are we together? All right. So the emergence of Aguiyi-Ironsi actually ended the first republic. Are we together? So Aguiyi-Ironsi came into power, on January 15th, 1966, and he spent only 194 days before he was overthrown by another military personnel. Are you getting what I'm saying? So when Aguiyi-Ironsi came into power in January 15th, 1966, he could only spend 194 days in office. Why? Because Yakubu Gowon also launched an attack on his government, and he succeeded. That was on July 29th, 1966. So the first military head of state, Aguiyi-Ironsi, was in office for just 194 days before Yakubu Gowon took over. Are we getting what I'm saying? And this was also in the same year, 1966. Are you getting what I'm saying? So there were 3 attacks in that singular year, in that year. The first one started with General Chukwuma. That one was not successful. Aguiyi-Ironsi launched another one. Are you there? And then now Yakubu Gowon has taken over the government again in the same year. Praise God. All right. Now, but you see, when Yakubu Gowon entered, when Yakubu Gowon took over power from Aguiyi-Ironsi, of course, from the name Yakubu Gowon, you know that he's a northern person. Either he's from the north. But you see, when Yakubu Gowon, when he took over power, he started a violent move against the Igbos in the north because Major Ojukwu Odumegu, didn't support him. Maybe he must have publicly demonstrated his hatred for him. But somehow, Yakubu Gowon knew that Major Ojukwu Odumegu was not really in support of him. Of course, from that name, Ojukwu, that major was an Igbo person. So in order to get back at Major Ojukwu, he now began to afflict the Igbos in the north because Yakubu Gowon, who is now the head of state, the military head of state, is a northern person. So to get back at Ojukwu now, the Igbos in the north were now being afflicted. Are we together? And then Major Ojukwu did not support Gowon's government because he felt it is not right for him to salute somebody that is lesser than him. Are you there? In rank. Because according to Ojukwu, now this was the basis of the problem that he had with Gowon. According to Ojukwu felt that Gowon was not the right person to be in the office because by rank, Major Ogundikpe, who is actually another Yoruba man, was higher than them. So Ojukwu felt that at least if anybody will come to that position, it should be their boss, not somebody that he is even higher than. So that became problem between Ojukwu and Gowon because Ojukwu was like, no, I cannot salute Gowon because Gowon is not up to me in rank. Are you there? So it became hard for Ojukwu, for Major Ojukwu to really support the government of Gowon. Praise God. Now remember that Yakubu Gowon actually came into power in 1966. But you see, Ojukwu's rebellion towards the administration of Gowon led to a civil war in 1967, July 6th, 1967. Are you there? That Ojukwu actually rebelled, and that rebellion led to a civil war in 1967. That's July 6th. Now, the war ended, that civil war that began in July 6th, 1967, which was actually steered by Ojukwu. That civil war ended in, July 15th, 1970. So that means the war lasted for about 3 years. Are we together? Before Ojukwu, who led the Biafrans, later surrendered to the Yakubu Gowon's administration because they were not successful. Although they fought, but they were not still successful. So it was after 3 years. The war started in 1967, and it was in 1970 that Ojukwu and the Biafrans, they now surrendered to Yakubu Gowon's government because they were not successful. So while all this was going on, it is easy to really defeat a person who has been troubled. Either it is very easy. Praise God. That was one thing that gave Aguiyi-Ironsi an edge, because Chukwuma had already done something. So he just launched an attack, and it was easy for him to have his way. So maybe this Ojukwu's effort had already weakened the government a bit. So it was easy for another person to now launch an attack on Gowon's government, and then he was successful. So while all these things was going on, General Murtala Muhammad was actually making his own plans. So when the civil war ended in 1970, General Murtala Muhammad planned a coup against Yakubu Gowon, and that coup was successful. So General Murtala Muhammad now came into office July 29. Are you there? 1975. Well, that was actually a longer time because the war ended in 1970. So after 5 years, that was about 5 years later, General Murtala Muhammad launched a coup. So that means everything must have gone down, and then everything is looking peaceful. So suddenly another coup was launched, and that coup kicked out Yakubu Gowon and brought in General Murtala Muhammad in July 29th, 1975. Now, don't forget that Buhari came in on December. That was when Buhari launched the attack, December 31st, 1983. So that means by January the following year, Buhari was already declared. Are you getting what I'm saying? That's the implication. So, but while that was happening, after about 2 years, are you there? Because this happened, Buhari came in. The attack Buhari launched was December 31st, 1983. But you see, in 1985, Babangida also overthrew Buhari's government. Are you there? Don't forget, Buhari came in then as a military person to continue the military regime. And Babangida, now that launched an attack on Buhari's regime, was also another military person. So, and the Second Republic has ended because civilians are no longer there. So, and anytime you have military, there will not be democracy. Military they don't vote. They just launch attack and enter. We together. So, Babangida launched an attack on Buhari's administration. Are you there? On August 27, 1985. Are you get what I'm saying? So that means Buhari did not really spend. He did not spend. Buhari spent about 2 years, or just 2 years and some months, but he did not spend up to 3 years there before Babangida took over again from Buhari, in a palace coup. Now, a palace coup is the kind of coup that is carried out without loss of life. So any coup that is done by military personnel that nobody died, that kind of coup is referred to as a palace coup. Are we together? All right. Now, so what is a republic? A republic is described as the rule of a civilian government without any interruption from the military. So once the military interrupts the civilian rule, the republic will end. And the republic will resume again the next time the civilian resumes. Are we together? So Babangida, after taking over power by a coup in August 27, 1985, he continued and handed over. Are you there? So Babangida now later handed over to a man called Ernest Shonekan on August 26, 1993. So that means Babangida was there for about Babangida was there since 1995. So he ruled from 1995 to 1993 before handing over power to Shonekan. Are you there? Please note that all these things they were doing, as long as military is there, just know there's no democracy. You are not voting. They are just picking themselves. I get what I'm saying. So Babangida handed over power. He ruled from 1985 to 1993. So it was in 1993 that he now handed over power to Ernest Shonekan after annulling the June 12 election. There was an election anyway, but he annulled it. And that election, people believed that MKO Abiola was the winner. People believed that was what people believed. They believed that MKO Abiola was the winner, but Babangida annulled the election. He cancelled it, and he gave power to Ernest Shonekan. Are we together? Now, Ernest Shonekan. Now, Shonekan's emergence marked the Third Republic. The emergence of Shonekan marked the Third Republic because there was an election. Are we together? So, and then Ernest Shonekan did not come in as a military person. Ernest Shonekan was a civilian. So his coming into office marked the Third Republic. Are you there? And then this Third Republic lasted for less than a year because it was the same year Ernest Shonekan came into office that General Sani Abacha took over power from him. That same year he came into office. Are we together? So this now brought Nigeria again under the military rule. So Nigeria moved again to come under military rule. Are we together? As a matter of fact, Shonekan spent less than 3 months in office. So that means the Third Republic, are you there, lasted for less than 3 months because the coming in of Ernest Shonekan actually marked the beginning of the Third Republic. So the Third Republic now lasted for less than 3 months because Shonekan did not spend up to 3 months in office before General Sani Abacha took over from him. Are we together? But you see, unfortunately, Murtala Mohammed only spent 200 days in office because he was assassinated on February 13th, 1976. So that means he was assassinated the following year. And then this assassination was led by Colonel Bukar Suka Damka. That's the name of the military personnel that led the assassination. Bukar Suka Damka. That means that person also is also from the north. That military person is also from the north. Praise God. When Murtala was in government, Olusegun Obasanjo was his vice. Are you there? So, although Olusegun Obasanjo was the vice of Murtala Mohammed, was actually older than Murtala Mohammed because at that time, Murtala Mohammed was 36 years old and Olusegun Obasanjo was 38 years old at that time. So, according to history, Obasanjo was 1 year, 8 months older than Murtala Mohammed while he was functioning as his vice. But somehow, Obasanjo was loyal to Murtala Mohammed as his boss. And there was a promise that Murtala Mohammed made to the people. He promised that he's going to return the power to the civilians. You know, from the time Agoyin Ironsi took over, it has been military, 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 military. So Nigeria started with parliamentary system of government, and they operated that between 1960 to 1966. But in 1966, when the military took over, it ceases to be parliamentary. It now became, we now moved to military system of government. Are we together? But Murtala Mohammed promised that he's going to hand over power to civilians. But unfortunately now, he has been assassinated by Bukasuka Damka. Are we together? So when he died, after spending 200 days in office, when he died, uh, Obasanjo became um, Obasanjo became the head of state. That was in February 13th, 1976. Are we together? Now, Obasanjo then handed over to a civilian in 1979. Why? Because he wanted to keep to the promise of his boss, before he died, before Murtala died. He wanted to keep to that promise. So in 1979, Obasanjo handed over the power to the civilians. So when Obasanjo left, it was not military that came in. It was civilian. That was in 1979. So that marked the Second Republic. Because, to calculate republic, you have to look at when the civilian ruled. First Republic was between 1963 to 1966. Now that Obasanjo has honored the wish, or maybe the promise of his boss, and he handed over power to civilian. Now that now marked the beginning of the Second Republic. So that means the Second Republic started in 1979. Are we together? And thank God for what Obasanjo did. Thank God because Obasanjo decided to honor the promise of Murtala Mohammed, his boss, who was assassinated. That decision of Obasanjo in 1979 was what brought in democracy for the first time. Are you there? So in 1979, are you there, when Obasanjo handed over power? Are you there? The next person that came in by vote. That was the first time. So that was the first time democracy featured in the government. Because all this while it has been either you take it by force or they appoint you. But Obasanjo choosing to honor the promise of his boss, Murtala Mohammed, that decision that he made in 1979 to hand over government to a civilian brought in democracy for the first time. So he allowed people to vote. Are you there? So, and when people voted in 1979, Shehu Shagari won the election and he became the first president of Nigeria under the presidential system of government. That was in 1979. So that means Nigeria moved from parliamentary. From parliamentary, they came to military. From military now to the presidential system. Are you get what I'm saying? So Shehu Shagari's victory marked the beginning of the Second Republic of Nigeria. I hope you already understand that now. Now, after some time, Buhari overthrew the Shehu Shagari's government on December 31st, 1983. So that means about 4 years after Shehu Shagari Shehu Shagari came into office, Buhari overthrew the government. And that was due to delay in concluding election results. It's after every 4 years. So after 4 years, election was concluded, was conducted, but for some reasons, the result was not concluded. It was looking like an inconclusive result. So Buhari used that opportunity to launch an attack on Shehu Shagari's administration, and he was successful. So this success that Buhari achieved on Shehu Shagari's administration ended the Second Republic. Are you there? Because the civilian rule ended. Anytime civilian rule ends, a republic will end. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, had it been that, for example, assuming that during the Shehu Shagari's administration, till now, if no military personnel has entered, that means Nigeria will still be in Second Republic. But because Buhari launched an attack as a military man and he came into government, the Second Republic ended because another military regime now started again. Are we together? So Buhari launched the attack on Shehu Shagari's administration and it was successful. Are we together? So that means the Second Republic lasted for about 4 years, right? 1979 to 1983, before the power now returned again to the military due to Buhari's successful attack on the government. Now, Ernest Shonekan came to office August 26th, 1993, and Abacha took over from him November 17th, 1993, through a coup that was planned. Are we together? So that was why the government of Shonekan did not last up to 3 months. And then that was also what affected the Third Republic. The Third Republic did not also last for up to 3 months because you measure republic by civilian rule. If a civilian is not the one ruling, you can't call it a republic. Are you getting what I'm saying? All right. So in 1998, Abacha died of heart failure. So Abacha was able to rule from 1993 to 1998. Please note that that rulership was military. Because if it was not military, the republic would not have ended. So he ruled for about 5 years and then he died of heart failure. But somehow, because of what Obasanjo did when his boss, Murtala, died, when he allowed them to vote and then a civilian came in, that thing was already creating the picture of democracy. So when Abacha died, people voted. Are you there? Obasanjo now came again. Remember, he was the first person to introduce democracy because he allowed the civilians to vote and then they voted for the person they wanted and, Shehu Shagari won. Then, are you there? So after Abacha died of heart failure, Obasanjo now contested again by voting. I want to believe that maybe due to that thing he did that time, people loved him, so he won. So Obasanjo now won by votes. Are you there? In 1999. Remember, Abacha died in 1998. So Obasanjo contested for presidency in 1999, the following year, and he won. So this was what opened up another civilian rule, which was the Fourth Republic. So since 1999 now till now, we are still in Fourth Republic because military has not taken over. Do you understand? So Obasanjo came up in 1999. In 2007, May, Yar'Adua won. Yar'Adua also contested. They voted for him. He won the election and became the president of Nigeria. But Yar'Adua died in office May 5, 2010. So Yar'Adua was only able to stay there for about 3 years. So when Yar'Adua died, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who was actually his vice then, became the acting president in 2010. And was later elected in 2011 as the president because Jonathan also later contested and he won in 2011. Are we together? Now, May 29th, 2015, Buhari won by, he won by an election. So Buhari came again. But this time when he came, it was no longer possible to take over power by force because it's looking like the military are now, the civilians are now, they are now dominating the government. So it's no longer, it's looking like it will be impossible to take over power violently. So this time in 2015, Buhari came and then contested. And he won. He won. So that means when Goodluck Ebele Jonathan won in 2011, he only used one tenure. Are we together? But in 2015, Buhari came, they voted for him, and he became the president. Are you there? And Buhari used two tenure. First term, second term. That's eight years. Are you there? So in 2003, in 2023, Buhari, Tinubu came, contested, and became the president. Are you there? So till now, we still have, at least till now, this is 2025. Tinubu won in 2023, and now we are in 2025. Are you there? So we are still in the Fourth Republic now, because since 1999, when Obasanjo came up, the civilians have been the one ruling. Are you there? But if another military interruption comes in, then it means the Fourth Republic will end. But currently, Nigeria is still in the Fourth Republic because there has not been any military interruption. Are we together? So I took my time to do all this calculation because I wanted us to understand some things about the government of Nigeria from independence to the time when we became a republic until the present moment now, 2025. Are we together? So the first republic was between 1963 to 1966, and that was about 3 years. The second republic was between 1979 to 1983, that was about 4 years. The third republic was in 1993, which was actually less than 3 months. And the fourth republic started in 1999 till date. Are we together? So I think now that we have done this historical thing, we need to now draw some lessons. Are we together? Mind you, we will give kudos to my teacher. I stayed with Mr. Ozana yesterday, so I was trying to read some things on the Nigeria government, just to be able to talk on some historical things. But I no longer, I discovered that after some time I did not need that thing I downloaded because it was Minister Ozana that actually I stayed with him yesterday night. So it was a serious teaching. The teaching lasted for I think more than 30 minutes. So you may need to take my teacher. I'm a science. If a science student is doing history like this, you know that there must be an heart person who must have assisted him. So I hope I've represented my teacher well today. So Mr. Ozana actually schooled me yesterday night on this, and I believe I must have made him proud looking at my presentation this morning. Praise God. So now let's draw some lessons from all this. Are you there? Because you need to know that, you need to know this history to appreciate where we are and to know where we should be, because there's a place we are now and there's a place we should be. Are we together?